So recently, I happened to see a trailer for this little game called Beast of Reincarnation. And right off the bat, I was like, okay, I can vibe with this game. But then this appeared on screen. And I was like, what? Game Freak? You mean the Game Freak? You know, the one that's been making Pokemon games for like 20 years now? And yeah, it's true. This is indeed that Game Freak that we're all familiar with. And after coming to that realization, my next thought was, how? I mean, this is the same studio that has infamously struggled to bring their Pokemon games to the next level when they made the jump to Nintendo Switch. I mean, there's a lot of documented mishaps when it comes to the last 6 years of Pokemon games. From the lack of voice acting, to graphics that barely seem any better than what the 3DS could offer, to a myriad of gameplay bugs, and just an overwhelming sense of disappointment when it comes to their overall game design. Can you see why I was so shocked that this same studio that consistently puts out stuff that looks like this ended up giving us something like this? Now, don't get me wrong, I am not against Pokemon, quite the opposite actually, nor am I upset that they massively upgraded their ability to deliver. I think that's absolutely amazing. I'm more so just surprised. It kind of came out of left field for me. But that wasn't the only surprise. The next one was Beast of Reincarnation is going to be released on PlayStation 5, Windows, and the Xbox series of consoles. So, quick recap. A game studio that has largely handled one single IP for the last 20 years that predominantly works with Nintendo and has had some trouble bringing their games into the modern age has suddenly gotten over their development struggles and is bringing this beautiful looking game to non-Nintendo consoles. So I go back to my original question. How? How did Game Freak manage to level up their development skills, and how are they not working with Nintendo on this project? These were the genuine questions I had when I first saw this trailer, so I decided I wanted to find the answers for myself. So we got to start by looking at what Game Freak is in the first place, and I'm not going to go through the entire history of the studio, we can save that for another time, but the gist of it is this. Game Freak is a video game studio that started on the 26th of April 1989 by Satoshi Tajiri and Ken Sugimori. Its most popular series, as we all know, was the Pokemon franchise, which was released in 1996, and the Pokemon games are published by Nintendo. Now, with 20 years of Pokemon games being released on Nintendo platform, you can imagine why it would be easy to assume that Game Freak as a studio is owned by Nintendo, but that's actually not the case. Game Freak is indeed an independent video game studio that happens to have a close, long-term partnership with Nintendo and predominantly releases their games on their consoles. The reason being, obviously, is Pokemon. Now, I won't go into the ownership of the Pokemon franchise, again, I can save that for another video, but that does answer one of the questions. They're not working with Nintendo on this project because they're not wholly owned by Nintendo and don't have obligations to work with them on any non-Pokemon related projects. But then there's the next question. How did they get so good at game development? Well, a recent interview with the game's director, Koto Fukushima, helps shed light on the development. When asked if the development team had to be scaled up for this game, Fukushima answered, "The team is quite large, as you can imagine, but I will note that it's not all folks internally here at Game Freak. We managed to seek out a lot of partner companies to work with us. Companies, studios that are able to realize the vision of this game in the way that we wanted to make it. So we're lucky to have a lot of people working on it externally as well." And when asked about the performance of the game and how it will run on consoles, Fukushima says that they are looking to deliver a very specific game experience. And visual fidelity and graphics, this is something that supports that same experience and everything that goes into that. That includes things like bug fixing, optimization, everything is there to serve the gameplay and the experience. So they know that there's definitely criticism about some of the gaming experiences they've delivered in the past and are promising that they're going to be giving that part of development the attention it needs. And I guess time will tell, and we'll find out when the game is released. So that answers the questions regarding Game Freak and Beasts of Reincarnation, and I thought they were pretty interesting. But I'd really love to know what your thoughts were. Were you like me and thought that Game Freak was owned by Nintendo? Do you think they'll be able to deliver a quality gaming experience? And what do you think of Beasts of Reincarnation? Are you intrigued or excited by it? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time. See ya.